Realizing success in life can be one of the most challenging things that you can ever come across. However, I believe that with the right commitment, respect, integrity, loyalty, and then more importantly, the self discipline, you're likely to become successful in life. Research has proven that about 43% of people who sit to write down New Year's resolution eventually give up just 1 month into the new year. And that is why in this video, I'll be sharing the 6 time tested easy ways that you can actually ensure discipline in your life and then achieve your goals at the end of the year. So if you're new here, my name is Nana. I hold a master's degree in business finance, and on this channel we discuss everything personal finance and personal development. So without further ado, let's just go straight into today's topic, which is self-discipline. One of the key reasons why we do not ensure self-discipline and the subsequent attainment of our goals is procrastination. And procrastination is simply you having to reschedule items or things on your to-do list into a later date simply because you don't want to get it done. And some of the main reasons why people tend to procrastinate in life is because of one, the fear of failure. Napoleon Hill goes on to say that because people want to shy away from failure, it becomes very difficult for them to achieve their goals, simply because failure is not the opposite of success, but rather a composite of success. And so in order for you to achieve your goals or to become successful in life, you've got to fail at something. And then you build on that experience that you've gained through that failure. And then subsequently, that is what would ensure the realization of every goal that you set for yourself. Secondly, lack of clarity and motivation. So one of the key reasons why people tend to procrastinate or they do not find the right discipline to do things is because they don't have the right motivation. Napoleon Hill goes on to say again that access to enthusiastic support in the form of external motivation or internal motivation is a prerequisite condition for any man to set goals and then eventually to become successful in life. And so if that motivation is taken away from you, then it becomes very difficult for you to ensure the discipline and then to subsequently get things done based on the motivation that you've received. This brings us to the third reason why people tend to procrastinate, and that is perfectionism. More often than not, we feel like we've got to get everything in order before we start. But trust me when I tell you that it is very difficult getting everything in order before you even start. And then eventually, even if you're able to succeed in getting everything in order before starting, you still wouldn't find the right motivation and the discipline to get things done. And so the best way to get things done is to start and then perfect it with time. The more and more you get it done, the more and more you become perfect at it. For instance, when I wanted to start this YouTube channel, I didn't know anything about video editing, didn't know anything about camera, about setting up my softbox in a position that would help me to shoot the best of videos and all that. I didn't have any prior knowledge about how YouTube even went and how it worked. But then subsequently, as I went on to shoot more and more videos, this is my 49th video. And so I improve every single time that I make a single video. And that has really had a huge impact on me. If I had wanted to wait to get everything perfect before I started, I would have probably never started. So what I did instead was I started with what I had and then I perfected it over time. And I'm still not done. Consistently, I'm changing things around and then eventually I want to reach a certain goal, but then I know that I would never reach that goal if I do not start with what I have and then eventually try as much as possible to get things in order by improving marginally along the line. This brings us to the fourth and the last reason why people tend to procrastinate, and that is the instant gratification bias. So more often than not, human beings are wired in that we want to see results in the shortest possible time. But the truth is that anytime that you commit to anything new, you're more likely to consistently work it over time before you're going to see any result. And that is one of the reasons why people tend to give up along the line. And so it is easier for you to just throw in the towel, of course, if you're not seeing any result. But trust me when I tell you that if you were able to just stay a little longer and then try as much as possible and then make things work in the long run, everything will correct itself. And then you're likely going to see the results of every hard input that you've made along the way. And so with all this said, we're moving straight into asking ourselves the simple question: how can we stop procrastinating and then eventually ensure that we have the right motivation and the right self-discipline to steer ourselves towards the attainment of our goals? The first thing that you need to consider is that you need to start one habit at a time, focus on that, and then grow over time. So more often than not, when we set New Year goals or resolutions, we have so many things going on at the same time, or the goals are so far-fetched that it becomes very difficult and then very easier for us to just give up on the goals altogether. What you want to know is that you need to set a goal that is not too far-fetched. And in a like manner, you don't want to set a goal that is so easy for you to attain. You need to challenge yourself and then push yourself just slightly out of your comfort zone. That is the point that you want to be in when it comes to setting and the subsequent attainment of your goals. So what you need to know is that one goal is enough. Having one habit learned every single month is enough also for you to make the progress. The marginal gains eventually would add up and then ensure that you become successful at the end of the year. This brings us to the second strategy that we can adopt when it comes to ensuring self-discipline and the subsequent attainment of our goals, and that is to master the 2-minute rule. So according to James Clear's Atomic Habit, the easiest way for you to achieve any goal at all is to break it down into tiny actionable steps. So for example, if you have the goal of losing weight at the end of the year, what you can do is to ask yourself, what do I have to do today in order to improve my chances of hitting that goal at the end of the year? And the easiest way to do that is to try and then ask yourself, what are those tiny steps that I can take today or within the next couple of minutes in order to ensure that today I'm able to contribute towards the attainment of my goals? And so still on the goal of losing weight, what you can do simply is to tie your gym shoes at 6 p.m. and then head straight for the door. Now that 2-minute exercise or that 2-minute action would help and then ensure that subsequently you find yourself in the gym. And so for instance, if you also have the goal of starting and then shooting YouTube videos, what you can do is to ask yourself the simple question, what can I do today by breaking this huge goal into actionable steps? And that is simply for you to set up your phone or probably whatever camera you have on a tripod, put on your softbox, and that is a 2-minute action that would eventually ensure that you subsequently shoot your videos, edit them, and then post them. If you have the goal of reading a book, James Clear goes on to prescribe that every single day ask yourself the simple question, how can I make that goal much more easier for me to action out? And so using the 2-minute rule, what that simply means is that you can just open any random page and then read for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, you'd realize that you still have the urge to read on. That is the simplest way for you to adopt new habits and to, more importantly, ensure self-discipline and the attainment of your goals. This brings us to the third strategy, and that is to make it stupid easy. Anytime that you set a goal and you increase the friction that is associated with anything that is likely to stand in between you and the goal, it makes it much more easier for you to hit the goal. So for instance, I have the goal of shooting 100 videos and then posting them on YouTube. So every single time that I come home, I've strategically placed my softbox and my tripod right in the middle of the room. And so it's easier for me to see them, and then it's easier for me to reach out to them and then start shooting, scripting, doing my video, doing all the necessary things that I have to do, going through all the processes, editing my videos, and then uploading them onto YouTube. Anytime that you increase the friction that is associated with anything that is likely to stand in between you and your goal, it makes it much more easier for you to hit your goals. For instance, if you have the goal of losing weight, once again, try as much as possible and then put healthy foods like fruits and vegetables in the middle of the kitchen and then hide any junk food, because it makes it much more easier for you to remind yourself of the goal of losing weight just by citing those healthy fruits, and then also increases your chances of eating healthy, which eventually also helps you when it comes to the attainment of your goals. This brings us to the fourth strategy, and that is habit tracking. So according to James Clear, one of the easiest ways that you can actually ensure self-discipline and the attainment of your goals is to track the progress of any habit or the progress of the attainment of your goals. So for instance, in my case, I have the goal of shooting, editing, and then uploading 100 videos, just like I've said earlier. And so I have this chart right here, and that is what I call the 100th chart. The 100th chart represents every single box in there represents the 100 videos that I've got to finish and then upload onto YouTube. And so currently I've done 47. This is my 48th video, which means that I'm currently 48% through with the goal of shooting, editing, and then uploading 100 videos at the end of the year, that is December. And so it is easier for me to track the progress. Anytime that I set my eyes on this, it's easier for me to motivate myself because I'm able to hold myself accountable. You told yourself and you told everyone around you that you're going to shoot and then upload 3 videos every week. How far have you gotten? Where are you currently? And what are the necessary steps that you're likely going to take in the future in order to realize this goal? And so this habit tracker right here helps me, and it gives me heads up as to what I've got to do, more importantly, in order for me to hit my goal, which also ensures self-discipline at the end of the day. This brings us to the fifth strategy, and that is to embrace the boring. Now, there are times that you might look at people and say, oh, it's easier for them to do what they do. For instance, if you're to look at Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi and all the great athletes out there, you might think that, oh, it's easier for them to just wake up every day and then to hit the gym and to train for, the next match, prepare for the sport and everything. And it's much more easier and all that when you look at the surface of whatever you're seeing. But trust me when I tell you that these people also face challenges when it comes to self-discipline. It's not easy. And then even at the point where they've had to do it several years and several decades, it's still challenging sometimes for them to wake up and then get the right things done. And so embrace the habit of showing up even when you don't feel like, because that is what self-discipline actually means. That sometimes you may not feel like doing it. Even for instance, today, I didn't really feel like shooting a video, but then here I am talking about self-discipline. And that also goes on to attest to the fact that it's not easy. But then once I'm able to shoot this video, especially on a day that I don't feel like shooting, then it goes on also to add to the fact that indeed self-discipline is acquired in that you can actually practice it until it becomes part of you. And that is exactly what almost everyone out there is working on. And so there's not a particular set of people that have got it all figured out. Everyone struggles, and it is okay for you to feel boring or for you to feel not, motivated on certain days to get things done. This brings us to the sixth and the last strategy, and that is habit stacking. According to James Clear, one of the easiest ways for you to find self-discipline is to practice the habit of habit stacking. And what that simply means is that you stack the new habits that you want to learn on top of an old one. So for instance, if you want to read more books, what you can do is to simply attach that new habit of reading more books to an old habit. For instance, anytime that I brush my teeth and then I shower, I would read 30 minutes before bed. That brushing of teeth and then the showering before bed is an existing habit. That is an old habit that you've become accustomed to. So stacking that new habit of reading 30 minutes to the old habit makes it much more easier, and it ensures discipline in that anytime that you're done with the first two habits, which is the existing habits that you're likely to do anyways, it increases your chances of you finding the right motivation and the discipline to read 30 minutes before you go to bed. And so there you have it. These are the 6-time tested principles and the ways that you can ensure that you have self-discipline, which would also ensure that you attain your goals and then you're able to beat the 92% of people who never see the realization of their goals. And so my name is Nana once again, and on this channel we discuss everything personal finance and development. And so you might consider liking and subscribing to the channel. See you in the next video.